I'm Charlene Edmondson from Omaha, Nebraska. And
now you're kind of fading out just a bit.
Okay. How about this? Is this working better?
This is better.
Okay. I'm Charlene Edmondson from Omaha, Nebraska, and I spent 30 years in business sales in the packaging and supply field here in Omaha. And the stress of a 60 to 70-hour work week while raising my family took its toll on my health. In 2006, I was diagnosed with serious heart failure, severe central sleep apnea, and had sudden crashing blood sugars that often led to fainting spells. As a result of that, I was no longer able to safely drive, and there went my income. My depression plummeted. I left my job in 2009 because of my declining health, and at that time I was sleeping in until 10 to 11 o'clock every day. I'd wake up in a fog and suffered with severe anxiety and depression. And I started Relive in May of last year. The first week, it was like somebody turned a light switch on. Absolutely incredible. The first week, I woke up at 6 o'clock feeling refreshed, and I eliminated my daily naps. My sugar cravings the next week I started noticing my sugar cravings ceasing, and my blood sugar stabilized. It's been 11 months, and I've lost 30 pounds, so I'm happy about that. And I haven't needed even one of my anxiety medications since I started Relive 11 months ago. And I no longer have fainting spells. I'm back driving and have productive days with great energy. If I was going to wrap it up, I would just say my husband has his wife back, my grandchildren have their grandmother back, and in short, I have my back. And I owe it all to Relive, and I will never stop taking my Relive, and never stop looking for people that I can tell the Relive story to.
Well, that's
and
awesome.
I thank you for having me.
Well, I thank you for sharing on here. And that must have been quite a shock when you woke up at 6 a.m. and felt like getting up, huh?
It was a total shock. And not only was it a shock to me, but it was a shock to my husband. I mean, the first week he kind of kept a little quiet. I've tried so many different multi-line businesses that my husband said, never, 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 never. So I thought, I'm not even going to bring this up to him. I'm just going to get healthy, and I'll be happy with that. But by the time the second week came, he came to me and said, I cannot believe the change in you. Give me some information on this company. We need to hop on this. So that was kind of a humorous thing that happened, and it's just been wonderful. It's a wonderful business. The people are incredible. I can honestly say every time I meet somebody in Relive, my life is blessed over again with new friendships and just totally enriched.
I agree with that. I think there should be a sixth avenue of income, and that is the friendships you make all around the world.
Isn't that the truth? That's
now,
so
I have a
true.
question for you. I know you had some severe choking. Was that during the anxiety attacks?
Those were anxiety attacks. My throat would freeze up, and it didn't take much to put me into anxiety. You know that central sleep apnea is not an obstructive apnea. It is a nerve spark that goes into your brain, and it tells you to keep on breathing. So when I'd have any kind of anxiety, even during the day, my brain would stop telling me to breathe. My throat would seize up, and I had to take high milligram. I'm not going to use the name, but bad anxiety, high milligram bad anxiety medication. It takes me 4 or 5 minutes sitting down trying to drink water to get over one. And after that, I was totally exhausted for a couple of hours. But I haven't had to take one since I started. It's amazing what it's done for my nerves and the clarity of my brain, the brain fog gone. It's just wonderful being back to who I was when I was 30 years old. I mean, maybe because I'm a grandmother and 65, but I'll tell you what, I get up at 6:30 in the morning. I go all day until 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night, and we have 8 grandchildren that we go to games for and help take care of, and our son's a fireman. He's got 4 little ones we help out with. So my life is robust and full of joy. Thanks to Relive.
That's exciting. That's exciting. Well, Charlene, thank you so much for sharing. I'm sure you've been a blessing to all people who have heard your story.
My pleasure.
Okay, we're going to, let me just ask, Leslie Cummings, did you make it on? Okay. We're going to go to North Carolina now, to Kathy Courtwright. Kathy, you were kind of a minute woman for me here. Would you share with everyone what's happened with you and Retake and Relive? Kathy, are you out there? If you're talking, we can't hear you. Okay. I'll try to check with Kathy. Meanwhile, let's go up to Alaska. Now, I want you to know, even though they've had snow in Wisconsin, they have had nice 75-degree weather up in Alaska. And Greg Dehart, would you come on and share with people what Relive means to you?
Mary, I'd be very glad to. And yeah, it's probably 70, 75 degrees here today, and it's a very beautiful day.
Wonderful.
Well, Relive, next to the gospel, it's about the most blessed thing that ever happened to me, and that's an honest truth. Latter part of 2009, at that point, I had been fighting a very chronic case of rheumatoid arthritis for 8.5 years. I had tried 4 different pharmaceuticals, 3 of which I could never tell did anything, had any effect. But I didn't linger on them once I saw they didn't have effect, because they all have these many warnings for side effects, and I didn't want those. I had one that did have reasonable effect to, as far as the symptoms go, so that I could operate and maintain. But after a while, I found that it was giving me what's called leaky gut syndrome, and then I was warned to get off that. About 3.5, 4 years into it, I did connect with an herbalist, spent many thousands of dollars on all kinds of things natural, varied, repeated herbal cleanses, very strict diet, buku supplements, at least twice a day for quite a while. I remember taking like somewhere near 30 different capsules at a time, perhaps more, somewhere in there. I know there's a bunch of them. And all of that did a little bit of good. But nonetheless, after 8.5 years, I was so pathetic just before Roger found me that at one point I could barely walk 100 yards with a cane because I have absolute fatigue. I was napping 3 times a day at that point. I had a lot of brain fog, didn't sleep well, lots of pain, and very high inflammation in my knees and elbows. And then came along Roger. He became my salvation, I guess you would say, physically speaking, certainly. Anyway, he found me hobbling across the parking lot, walked up to me and said something to the effect of, "What's your problem?" And after 8.5 years, and of trying many different suggestions that people had suggested to me, and doing all the searching that I'd done, and at this point, of course, I was stupid broke because I couldn't do anything. I mean, I was miserable, very handicapped. Anyway, I wasn't interested to talk to him, but he was standing there in front of me, and I just stared at him. He stared at me, and I finally said, "Look, man, you're standing in front of me. Talk. What's on your mind?" I just wanted him to go away. But he's pretty crafty, and he found a way to get my attention and get me to listen to a story. And once I heard one story, I wanted to hear another. And he kept feeding me these stories, and after a dozen, 15 of these things, I called him up. I says, look, man, I says, I think this stuff would do me some good. I want to try it. So anyway, being very, very broke, the only way I could get any money was I went out of the garage and sold some construction tools I had at 20 cents on a dollar on Craigslist. Bought enough for a triple dosage for a month. 4 different products: Classic, Fiber Restore, Energize, and Artifact. And I remember at that point I asked him, I says, look, I've been taking all these other things. What do I do with this stuff? He says, put it to the side. That's my suggestion. Then you'll see which product delivers. Made sense to me, so I put it to the side and I started taking these lip shakes 3 times a day. And a week and a half, I was absolutely amazed. I had a clear head. I had tremendous more energy, and I could tell already that I was sleeping better. And this inflammation that had been roaring away at somewhere near a level of a 10 in my knees and elbows, because it was very high, went down something like the level of a 4. It wasn't gone, but it was way down. So I could tell that there was something very right about Relive. So anyway, I listened to a number of these stories, and I heard that what people did, and they had a big problem, was they took more of this stuff. And I guess that's what I've always called it, this stuff. But it's stuff that works. So anyway, I skipped, we got a couple of rental units, so I skipped a house payment that month and invested the money in buying some products. I figured if I didn't have any health, I didn't need a house. So I bought this product, and I started taking this stuff 6 times a day, and I kept taking it 6 times a day, and oftentimes double and triple scoops even, for about a year and a half time. Well, about 6 weeks into it, I noticed 2 different things. They were both huge. One is my insomnia was gone. I was sleeping real well once again, and I did not miss that. I had a terrible case of insomnia. And another thing was that I used to get these gosh-awful leg cramps in the night frequently, and they were terrible, and they were gone, and they've never come back. And by the way, the insomnia has never come back. And so, that was good. But I still had 2 other real huge issues, and one is that my left knee had been absolutely, completely eaten up with this arthritis, so that it's not only deformed, but it was bone on bone, so that it was screaming pain to put any weight on it to get around. And admittedly, it was 8-9 months before in any real appreciative way I could walk, anywhere near comfortable. And I'd say it was a full year and a half before I could say that I was really pain-free in that knee. But now it's remained that way ever since then, which has been 5-6 years now. So I'm very, very thankful for that. And in relationship to the general pain with the arthritis, again, about a year and a half, and it was really pretty much all gone. Although I can never say I've been 100% free from I do maintain a certain small dose of a certain prescription medicine with the Relive product. Take only a fraction what I used to take, and not anywhere near as often, but I do, on occasion, have to take a little bit of that. And then, very much to my surprise, about a year and a half into the product, it dawned on me one day that my back didn't hurt me anymore. You'd think I'd known it before that, but I used to have real chronic pain at times with what's called the sacroiliac, the lower back to the left side, where I visited the chiropractor many times. He'd do his thing, and it'd be good for a day or 2 or 3, or a week or 2 at the extreme. I'd get right back to hurt.
Hold on just a minute. I'm going to mute the lines again.
And it's been pain. So, anyway, Relive. It's been good to me. I take it steady. When I labor, I take it at least 3 times a day. Casual days, I take it a couple times a day. Don't ever plan on being off it. And shared it with a lot of people and seeing a lot of good in their lives, too. So Relive's been good to me.
Well, we were just so excited when we kept hearing the results you were getting. And like you said, the not sleeping, that's not like, like having cancer or something, but it's just really nice to be able to sleep, isn't it?
Yes, Mary, it's good to sleep.
Yep.
A gift from God.
Yep. And as you kept, I know you listened to a lot of stories, and you were, nobody could tell you these products weren't going to work, and so now you run a construction crew, I understand, right?
Yeah, I carpenter every day, run a crew and carpenter, so I work steady. Still have a little bit of frustration with the left arm. I get a little bit of arthritic pain in it. But I can tell you what, I know that I wouldn't do squat if it wasn't for the Relive products.
Yeah.
So
where would you be otherwise? Probably in a wheelchair,
huh? Yeah, I don't know if I'd even be alive, Mary. I was not in good shape. Plain and simple.
Yep. I remember, and we're really thankful and so glad to have you as a friend, and appreciate you sharing with everybody on here today.
Well, it's my joy, and we're glad that you're in our lives. You've meant a lot to us. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, now our last guest is Terry and Sally Cover. Is Sally on too, or just are you going to share her story?
I'll share her story tonight. She's not here.
Okay. And Terry is out in Pennsylvania as an ambassador with Relive, which means he's helped a whole bunch of people. And I understand that when Relive found you, you just had nothing to do in your logging business there, so you just kind of were looking for something to do. Terry, is that right?
Well, I was actually pretty busy with the logging, and this just developed into something that worked right into along with it.
I know I've heard you share that you can, be at standing next to a load of logs and take telephone calls, and so I know that you're committed to both. Tell us what happened to you and how you heard about Relive.
Well, I'd love to, Mary, and I'm Terry Cover from Bedford, Pennsylvania, and as Mary said, I'm a logger here in the mountains of Pennsylvania, and enjoy doing that very much. It's my passion, but I found another passion also to work right along with that. Wasn't expecting that to happen, but 6.5 years ago, I was searching for some answers for my health. I was battling type 2 diabetes for several years, taking a lot of medications all those years. And that all seemed to quit working. The medications couldn't keep my numbers down. I'd lost all the feeling in my feet. My toes were getting black on the ends. And as I was pretty worried, I didn't want them to cut my toes off. But what was really scary is I was 52 years old, the same age my grandpa died from diabetes. And so I knew this was a serious issue that I had to try to find some answers for. And when Relive came along, I jumped into these products, guys, wanting some results. And what happened excited me, because within 6 months I was able to bring my blood sugar numbers down literally in the normal range, to the point I was able to get off my medications and haven't looked back. Migraine headaches I dealt with for years went away. Irritable bowel syndrome went away. A year into the products, I did get all the feeling back in my feet, and that is pretty awesome, carrying a chainsaw around, running equipment. I needed to feel my feet. So that was a true blessing right there. But, fast forward, today I'm 58 years old. I feel better than I did in my 30s and 40s. I don't deal with diabetes anymore. Arthritis issues that used to hurt me severely from logging injuries do not hurt me anymore. I don't take any medications at all for any of those issues. And guys, it just feels good to feel good again. I can go work 10, 12 hours in the logging, come home, and still have the energy to play with the grandkids and work with the Relive products and help offer this hope of Relive to other people. And I just love and enjoy doing both. Seeing my wife Sally get amazing results from fibromyalgia, arthritis issues that she dealt with, constipation. She used to take some pretty powerful painkillers to try to get out of the pain, and it just wasn't working for her till she found Relive, guys. And, it's pretty awesome that both of us can say we don't take any medication for anything today. We feel great and just enjoy the quality of life that these products give us, but I also enjoy the quality of life that the opportunity has given us. I love the fact that I can share this product with other people and offer them that hope. And, Relive rewards us very, very well for doing this. And just been on some amazing trips, but that check keeps coming in every month, and it's pretty awesome to be able to enjoy that part of it also. But what drives me, guys, is every day I get a phone call somebody calls me and shares one of these amazing stories of some of the results that they've got. And, you know, just being a part, having a little bit of a part of helping that person achieve those results drives me to tell the next person about this. So we'll always share and always take these products forever, Mary.
You know, when people call you and share that with you, that's almost more exciting than your results, isn't it?
It is. It's awesome, and it's really neat to hear the excitement coming through the phone. You know, it is exciting to share that with them.
Now, how do you do this when you're working? You know.
Well, I can always answer my phone. You know, I can usually talk on the phone and do other things at the same time. You know, with my with the speaker phone, and you know, you just do what you need to do. You know, you take the time, because, you know, when somebody calls me, I know there's a need, and I'll take that time to answer that call and try to help them out. And you know, it doesn't take all day out of my time, but I'll take the time I need to help that person and then move forward.
I know I heard Sean Bergeron once at a math school, and he said every time that phone rings, he said, I know it's someone that's wanting to help changing someone else's life, and that's so very true.
Yes.
Very true. Terry, thank you so much for getting on here and sharing. Really appreciate that. You've taken time out, and thanks so much. Kathy Fortwright, we have you on here now.
Yes, can you hear me?
I'm going to backtrack just a little bit. Yes, Kathy, thank you so much for your patience.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't get on it correctly, so I was muted out. So, I'll be glad to share real quickly here. I live south of Charlotte, North Carolina, in a town called Waxhaw. My husband and I have been missionaries for over 30 years. And when I heard about Relive, which was about 13 years ago, I was dealing with a lot of health issues. That was a primary thing. I was looking for help with health. I had developed chronic fatigue over the years, a lot of antibiotics for bladder infections over many years, and that did a number on my immune system. Just a lot of stresses in life that added to the problem. And finally, I became pretty much incapacitated with chronic fatigue, Candida, which is a systemic yeast infection throughout the body. I had terrible brain fog, and depression set in. So I was pretty useless at that time. We had 4 kids getting in the teenage years, and it was very frustrating. Here we were missionaries, and I didn't want to be around people. I thought we would never be able to work overseas again because of my health, and I had tried going to the regular doctors and specialists, spent thousands of dollars trying to figure out what the problem was. And at one point I was taking about 35 to 40 pills a day in supplementation. They could see I wasn't absorbing nutrition. So I could tell that treating my issues through nutrition was the right track. I tried a lot of different things, but when I was introduced to Relive, I could see how simple it was to use, and I was so encouraged within 3 weeks of starting on Relive. My energy really picked up. The brain fog was lifting. The depression was going away. I was able to start going through days without naps. I just felt like I finally was going to be able to be a normal person again. And over time, it helped with my Candida. The first time I had blood work done, it showed I was no longer anemic, and I had that problem all my life. Over time, we were able to work overseas again. We spent a year in the Philippines. And in fact, I just got back from a trip in the Philippines visiting our daughter, who's a missionary over there now. But Relive has also helped with weight loss. One of the more recent things, I herniated a disc in my back. Had really a lot of pain from that, tried all kinds of doctors and therapies and chiropractors and different things. But once I started getting enough of the Lunarich X with a natural anti-inflammatory in it, and that was pretty new at the time. Once I started getting enough of that pain went away. And I was able to, at age 55, do my first triathlon. So that just showed that, I could do pretty much anything I needed or wanted to do without that back pain. So it's just helped me in so many ways. It's helped our whole family. I decided to do the business right from the beginning because it was making such a difference for me, and I wanted to help other people. Plus, we needed help with our missionary support. So it's just been a joy to share this with others. I've made an income every month since I started on Relive and sharing it with others, even while we lived overseas, because I helped start and other people on Relive and start them in the business while we were in the Philippines. I was having money put in my bank every month by Relive. So it's just been a blessing to us and our whole family, and I always just love sharing it with others who are looking for help with their health or income.
That's fantastic. Now can you share with us what is a triathlon?
Triathlon, well, I did a short one, a sprint one, and it's swim. It's a race where you swim, you get out of the water, you bike, and then you run. So I swam, it was about half a mile, I biked 14 miles, and I ran a 5K, which is like 3.2 miles. So,
and at what age now was that?
That was my first one, and I did it at age 55, so it's just almost 2 years, about 2 years ago, yeah.
That's fantastic. Fantastic. Now, how many Lunar Ridge X caps did you take that helped you over with that herniated disc?
Once I got up to 8 a day, and I continued doing 8 to 10 a day, especially when I started training for that triathlon. That's what I needed. I was taking less before that, but my body just needs that amount for the inflammation.
Yep,
and it helps with my cholesterol too.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Gotta see what works for you, don't you, with some of those.
Right.
Good. Well, thank you so much for getting on here and sharing with everyone today. And,
thank you. You're welcome.
Appreciate you doing that. And I want to thank everyone who shared today. I'm going to stop the recording and come back and